Welcome to episode 48 of the LorainCounty.com Insights podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmon. Let's begin by acknowledging the LorainCounty.com champion sponsors, Lorain County JVS, Lorain County Community College, Emerge Inc., Community Foundation of Lorain County, and WOBL Radio. Today we're talking with Jacob Smith, Executive Director, and Larry Amato, Deputy Director of the Lorain County Veteran Services Commission. Join us as Jacob and Larry talk about the core mission of their organization, including helping veterans access federal benefits, offering financial assistance during tough times, and providing transportation to VA appointments. They highlight the vital role that Veteran Services offers, discuss supporting veteran-owned businesses, and share the challenges of veteran engagement. Jacob and Larry also open up about their personal journeys and dedication to serving veterans. I've been fortunate enough to know Jacob Smith for many years. He is a tireless advocate for veterans. We are lucky to have somebody this dedicated in our community. Here is my conversation with Jacob Smith and Larry Amato.
My name is Jacob Smith. I'm the Executive Director, Lorain County Veteran Service Commission.
I'm Larry Amato. I'm the Deputy Director of the Lorain County Veteran Service Commission and a retired Navy.
Thanks, Jacob and Larry, for joining us and sharing your insights. Could you provide an overview of the Lorain County Veteran Services and your role with the organization?
I'm the Deputy Director, so I answer to Jacob directly. The Lorain County Veteran Service Commission is not unique to Lorain County. Every county in Ohio has a Veteran Service Commission, all 88 counties, established under the Ohio Revised Code 5901. We provide three main missions. Jacob will tell you four, but I'm going to start off with the three essential, which is number one, connecting veterans with their federal benefits. When I say federal benefits, I'm speaking primarily of the Department of Veterans Affairs. Any veteran in Lorain County would be able to realize. Second thing we're charged with here at the Lorain County Veteran Service Commission is financial assistance. When I say financial assistance, I'm referring specifically to hardship relief. So in the event that a veteran or a dependent experienced a hardship, we could assist them for a period of time, depending on their months of service in the military, to relieve that hardship and get them back on their feet again. The third mission of the Veterans Service Commission is to provide veterans transportation to VA appointments anywhere in the region. So we'll go to not just in Lorain County. I know there's the VA medical facility across the street. We'll take a veteran from here right across the street in one of our 10 vans with 7 drivers or whatever we're up to now. We'll take them all the way to Wade Park in Cleveland, Parma, or even on the benefit side, comp and pension exams. Sometimes they schedule these veterans to have those out in Findlay or Erie, PA. So we'll get a veteran there if it's VA medically related and necessary.
We have about 18,000 veterans and we filed 3,800 claims. There's 88 counties, as Larry mentioned. We are the 9th largest county by population, both veterans and just overall. And we were 3rd in spending in helping the veterans of this county. Last year, we spent over $1,335,000 in financial relief for veterans.
What's something people don't normally know about Lorain County Veteran Services that you'd want them to know?
We hire primarily Navy because we're here to get the job done and to offer the best services to the residents.
Larry, I think you're about done here. Don't you have some work to do? We've been here. Next year will be our 80th anniversary. We stretch all the way back to 1946 in Lorain County. The legislation that approved our creation was actually in 1886, I believe. Soldier and Sailors Commission of each county. We're really proud of what we do. We participate in a number of sponsorships for posts around the county, and we have established something called the Honor Fund, which will help posts and veteran memorials around the county to get grants from the county to make sure that those posts and memorials stay up and looking good. And while we do have a lot of Navy, I am Army, and I am the guy in charge.
Well, my father-in-law was Marine, so
we got one of those too. I actually report to them. The commission is made up of 3 Air Force and 2 Marines, and I report to them.
And you are a department of the county.
Yes, we fall under the authority of our own board. A lot of people think that county commissioners hire and fire us. That's not true at all.
That being said, we work very closely with the commissioners
Yes,
in some cases. Like the Honor Fund that Jacob mentioned, we have a really good working relationship with the county as a whole.
Working with them, we've done a lot.
How do you measure success, and what metrics or outcomes are most important to you and your team?
What it comes down to is accomplishment of my mission and welfare of my people. That's how I measure things. Where are we, not on any given day, but are we moving the ball down the field? And I think we have done that over our past 5 years. And I think we're continuing to do that. We are always looking for the better mousetrap. I like looking at the individual growth of our people and our clients. Now, I will say this. Last year, we did more claims than we did any year, not combined, in the past 10 years that we can have records for. We are extraordinarily busy as compared to where we were. That's a measure, but it's more than just dollars and cents. It's looking at the impact that we're having on the community and the impact that these veterans can have. Another measurement is what we call the 2-1 number, which is a great measurement for fiscal reasons. I think it's 60 to 1 or something. And that 60 to 1 is the amount for every $1 the county spends on us operating. That's the financial assistance, that's payroll, that's everything. How much federal dollars come back. So you think about it, that's a pretty good deal. Yeah.
We deal primarily with the disability claims for veterans. And if you took something people are maybe a little bit more familiar with, like Social Security, disability, typically that'll be prepared and submitted through an attorney representing someone who's disabled and no longer able to work. The VA doesn't utilize, for the most part, attorneys. They utilize veteran service officers who we employ here. So when we say claims, we're just, why can't I just go online and file a claim? It might work out depending how long you're in and how much time you put into it. But we have certified veteran service officers that advocate for the veteran, prepare the claim, submit the claim, appeal the claim, and can even, in some cases, represent the veteran at VA Board of Veteran Appeal hearings. So it isn't just, here, fill this form out. Ironically, when you join the military, they tell you you'll get the VA healthcare your entire life. Maybe not. There are some veterans that aren't able, believe it or not, to use VA healthcare because they make too much money. So in those instances, especially as they become older, because the VA does provide more benefits than you typically would see in Medicare, such as they can provide you with hearing aids, longer rehabilitative services, long-term care in some cases. When we connect a veteran to their federal benefit, we open the door of the hospital quite often. And even if they're not, we can find, I'll say, unique, creative ways to get people connected with their benefits where it may appear that door is shut.
Say you have cancer and the cancer gets service connected and then the cancer goes into remission. The VA will take that service connection away. And if you're doing the case on your own, you're like, okay, I guess that unfortunately makes sense. The thing is, a service officer, though, would know, hold on, back up. There's things called secondary conditions. And if you're filing on your own, you don't even know what that is. And we're extremely fortunate, and getting back to your other question, something that people don't know about us, we actually employ a lawyer here that was a VA lawyer for 30 years at the VA, that all he did for 30 years was look at claims, high-level claims, complicated claims, these types of things. And we employ him part-time since he doesn't work for the VA anymore, and he can take a look at those and go, I know what the VA is looking for. I know what's missing because I've seen these before.
I think our service manager yesterday stated she had a retro payment for $140,000 going to veteran in Lorain County. That's one of the biggest, probably the biggest one of the year so far. Typically, it's nothing, though, to see $30,000, which if you're a Vietnam veteran and you're retired and you're on a fixed income and all of a sudden you have a direct condition that resulted from your exposure to Agent Orange, that can be life-changing.
This is about 7, 8 years ago, I guess now. And Vietnam veteran, he said, how do you retire when you're a school bus driver and you had $800 a month out of pocket for prescription drugs? Talk to me about that. And come to find out of it, some of that was like things that I knew were service related based on his service. So we got him service connected. He went from $800 a month coming out of pocket to all that being covered by the VA. Yeah. And he started getting, I think, like $1,750 a month. So you're talking about almost a $2,500 swing in income. Guess what he could do? He could retire. And a lot of people go, wow, you're really changing that veteran's life. Yeah. You are, but you're just not changing his life. Like, he doesn't have that job anymore. So it frees a job for another person. So we didn't just change one life. We changed two. And that's what doing good has to do.
It's not just veterans. It's their dependents, their widows. We'll have a widow come in and be like, my furnace just kicked out. I'm on a fixed income. And we mentioned the hardship relief earlier. And then we'll have to establish that they were married. So we'll ask for the marriage certificate. We'll ask for the death certificate. And we'll see on the death certificate that veteran passed away 10 years ago from a condition directly related to his Vietnam service. And now we're able to add another $1,400 potentially to her monthly tax-free monthly income and get her some of the secondary insurance benefits that she's entitled to receive being the widow of a veteran who passed away as a direct result of his service.
And I'm assuming there's no cost for the veteran for
No.
your services?
No.
You should never have to pay to file a claim with the VA. After COVID, it's a real issue out there right now. You've seen the ads on TV. If you go on the internet, if you just Google veterans benefits, you'll see it's almost, I hate to use the term like used car salesman because I've always had great used car salesmen, right?
Sure.
But it's very fast talking, the fees and the costs. It's illegal to charge for a claim. You can't charge more than $10. They get around it by saying, well, you're a member now, or you just made a donation. And maybe I got you $20,000, but I'm going to take $4,000 of that from your retro payment. Or you become a member and we take a little bit out of it. And they'll say, we can do the claim faster than anybody else. You can't do the claim faster than anybody else. And it's in their interest to slow the claim down. Because if they slow the claim down, especially if they know you're going to get awarded, the retro payment's bigger. And if you're taking a percentage, it's not hard to do the math.
In Lorain County, what are some of the biggest service-related challenges for veterans?
Apathy, I think. It's either ignorance or apathy, and maybe it's a little bit of both. They don't know, and sometimes they don't care to know. And I don't necessarily mean that in a negative way. The typical example, getting back to healthcare, just kind of an example. Oh, I know, making up a name, generic Bob, whoever, worked at Ford, and he served in the military. He retired. Hey, Bob, you should go to the VA for healthcare. Bob goes, you know what? I want to save the VA healthcare for those who need it. That's unbelievably admirable, but mistaken. And what I mean by that is Congress funds the VA. The VA gets its funding by demonstrating the number of people that use the service. So by Bob not signing up, and even if he wants to use the Cleveland Clinic or whoever, by him not going to the VA once or twice a year for a checkup, he is actually hurting the people that he wants to help. That's kind of what I mean, that the ignorance and apathy, don't know, or they don't care, or they think it's a certain way. And our goal, and one of the things we do is try to do advertising, is to get that message out and figure that out as far as what's going on. The other big problem is, and this is more of a younger generation problem, is a lot of people our age and younger do not understand or appreciate what I call the legacy veteran organizations. And the legacy veteran organizations are your American Legion, your DAV, your VFW, and vets. And it's because of those organizations fighting towards the end of World War II that you have the GI Bill, that you have a home loan, that you have college student loans. After Vietnam, those legacy organizations weren't as welcoming as what they should have been with those veterans, and they are now paying the price for that, unfortunately. But if we lose those organizations, we lose, as veterans, our best advocate in state and federal government advocating for veterans' benefits. The government never gave veterans any benefits because they went, you know what, I feel like doing the right thing today. We're gonna work that out. It was the Legion, it was the VFW that came knocking on those doors during World War II to establish the VA. It was VVA of America, and then later VFW and Legion and all those legacy organizations that said the care at VA hospitals in the 60s, 70s, and early 80s is abysmal, and you're going to fix it. That's why we can't allow these legacy organizations to go away, because without them, we don't have what we have.
Let's continue on that thread. To do what you do, I'm sure there's lots of partnerships and collaborations. Can you talk about some of those important ones you work with?
Yeah, we have a golf outing. This will be our second outing, and it will be for benefiting Hearts of Patriots in Lorain County. Our first year doing the golf outing, it raised over $11,000. We partner with the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. Special shout out to Tony Gallo, who's retiring. They got a good guy coming in behind him. His name's Neo. Great guy. They do the financial part of that. At the end of that, then they donate the money to those agencies. We have a Crushers Military Appreciation baseball game. We're actually having a World War II B-25 bomber fly overhead. And we're also honoring the 103rd OVI. It was founded by a bunch of veterans that fought for the Union in the Civil War, and their family members have kept that organization up. And there's no organization like it in the nation that's still functioning. We also have our first car show coming up. We have the Race to End Veteran Suicide.
Revs, or the Race to End Veteran Suicide, something we started about 4 years ago. It's one of the first big events we held. We created at this agency when Jacob and I came in shortly afterwards. And the reason why all the events, why a Crushers game, why a car show, why a golf outing, it's a way to advertise our services. Right now, he talked about the legacy organizations like the VFW and the appreciation for those. It's also everything's one click away. A younger veteran, especially in the Navy, we call them sea lawyers. Who's your sea lawyer? You know, that guy who knows everything. You don't need to go see those guys. Just go, I'll send you the link and go fill it out. Everything's one click away. So we really like to be out in the community, passing our business cards out, shaking hands and saying, hey, come on in. Because you know what, that claim, you may think it worked out for you. You might think that you had something rated at 10 or 20%. Big win, right? But look, we're reviewing something here. It should really be 30 to 50. You sold yourself short, or it was denied and we can flip it. We want to see these veterans on the front side of the claim, not on the back side of the claim, because we can hit a system on the front and everything goes smoother through the process. Plus, we have access to the VA systems that they don't. I can go inside and I can see everything that rater has looked at. I can read the notes, I can see the examinations, and I can see the medical records that they received, the medical records they didn't receive, and I can apply it towards that claim. So that's why we hold big events, to get out to the people so we can bring the people in here. Now, the race to end veteran suicide, I mentioned 4 years ago. I think it's the biggest race on the West Side right now. Essentially, it's a half marathon. We go 22K to memorialize the 22 victims a day of veteran suicide, which has become a ceremonial number at this point. That number is going down, thank God. But people really identify with that 22 number, so it's a 22K. We also hold a 10K for the people that don't want to run. If you know anyone who wants to downsize to maybe even a 2.2 mile walk run, we have those options available. All the money that we raise goes to our community partners, our nonprofits, who are just as vital as us in supporting veterans of Lorain County.
You mentioned the Chamber of Commerce. I know you partnered with them for the Anthony Gallo Veteran Membership Grant. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
It's not necessarily named after him. It's named after his uncle, who died in the closing months of World War II out in the Pacific, serving in the United States Army. Tony's tie into it is that he is the head of the chamber, and they approached us. They're like, hey, you guys are raising this money. We have veteran-owned businesses that are struggling to start out. Could you guys think of maybe finding a way to fund membership so that they can get contacts and everything else? And I said, yeah, why not? And we took it to our board, and we set up a grant to pay for these guys' memberships for the first 5 years into the chamber. And what that does is it allows them to connect with the resources of the chamber, find like-minded people, maybe some business partners, this type of thing. So it works for everybody. Everybody wins. We ensure Anthony Gallo's sacrifice, which was 80 years ago on May 23rd, will not be forgotten in this county. But those are the types of things we do, because people come to us and they're like, I want to help veterans. How can I, regular Joe or regular Mary, help veterans? And the answer is shop at veteran businesses. So if you go on our website, we have a list of veteran-owned businesses in Lorain County. Now, we can't recommend or anything else for legal reasons, and we say that. But as a service to them, we provide their contact information on our website. So if you want to help a veteran and you don't know how, shop at a veteran-owned small business.
Let's switch over and talk a little bit about you. What's your background and what led you to your position here?
Okay, so graduated high school in the year 2000. Went into the Army from 2000 to 2004. The Army said, congratulations, you have won a fully expense-paid trip to Iraq. I said, that's all right. They're like, no, we insist. So I said, well, if you insist. So I went to Iraq for 15 months or so, served with 1st Armored Division and 4th Battalion, 27th Field Artillery. Got out of the service, went to the Bowling Green State University, which is the best university in Northwest Ohio, right? And from there, I graduated with Master's of Public Administration, worked for Congressman Marcy Kaptur for almost 10 years, working on legislative veteran issues. So when this job opened up, I had moved to the Cleveland area because that's the extended district, and this was just a perfect match. It's exactly what I want to do, where I want to be. Lorain County is great because we're big enough to have a budget to be able to do big, heavy lifts, but we're still small enough that we're not like overwhelmed in the same way that larger counties are. And a lot of the wins that we get here, it's the staff and the board. We're not an army of one, we're a team. And what we've been able to accomplish, to include getting state laws passed that have benefited not just veteran service commissions, but have benefited the entire state and state agencies. And that's a great example, and it's how credit cards work. We were allowed to use a credit card when I came on here to pay for hotels, for gas, for car repairs, this type of thing. You know what we couldn't use a credit card for? To actually help a veteran. So if a veteran came in and said, hey, I need a pair of boots from this store to start a job, but they're not going to just let me take a pair. They want the money. I could not legally use my credit card, even if he qualified, assuming he qualified, to go buy him those pair of boots. We changed that law. A couple years later, the state looked at how we were operating and went, you know what? Why don't we just make that for the entire state? So they took out the carve out for veteran services, and now any state agency can use a credit card for any legal public purpose that you could use regular funds for. That's a great example of how our office, working specifically with this case with Commissioner David Moore, were able to change how the entire state does business.
How about you, Larry? What's your background?
Navy Reserve, and then just retired in 2024. Out of the reserve side, been to the Middle East, Africa, Eastern Europe, and primarily in the small boat units, what would be known as the riverine units. And then I worked at Cuyahoga County Veterans Service Commission for almost 13 years, where I was at one point the operations manager. And then we had an employee who worked here that we were common friends with, and then he introduced me to Jacob, and then I came over here. And it's been great ever since. It's been fantastic.
Outside of work, what are your hobbies and interests, and how do they help recharge you?
I'm a pretty avid skier. I love just being able to get outside. And in the summer, it's doing a little bit of sailing, maybe. I don't have a sailboat, but if I can get a ride on one, I love doing that. Just getting out of the office and out from underneath these hydrofluorescent lights and just doing stuff. And that's always refreshing.
I like coins. I collect some coins. I play video games. I go for walks. Nothing too much. Just do whatever I feel like I want to do.
Very good. Finally, where can listeners get additional information about Lorain County Veteran Services and connect with you and your team?
The best way to do it is probably to go online to our website, loraincountyveterans.com. Our Facebook, we're pretty busy on our Facebook. As a matter of fact, Larry and I started here. Our Facebook participation was, I think, 300 total people that follow. We now have more followers than Franklin County and Cuyahoga County combined. And we attribute that a lot to the work that Larry and the staff has done to bring people from outside the county, inside the county, to do our events. Come to one of our events, come to our office.
Check out the runway.
Check out the run. Oh, my God, yeah.
So we were remodeling the building. We had an offer that they would put the flight deck of the Roosevelt down in our driveway that connects to the annex to both sides of the road. Come on in, check that out. We put the 71 at the end of it because Crystal Mayer, who's our service manager, actually served aboard the Roosevelt. So we just do a lot of fun things. Hopefully you'll get recommended to come in here through someone else. That's always the best. Or you'll see us at one of our events, or you'll be at a post and there's a VFW, American Legion AMVETS, and they'll tell you to come out and see us. That's the way we hope we get referred.
Thank you, Larry and Jacob, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LorainCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@LorainCounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LorainCounty.com Insights Podcast. Conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.